friends, it is Natalie, and I'm so excited today to bring you the biggest book haul I have ever done, and it's mostly YA. I have 40 books to share with you, and only 5 of them are adult books. The first section is My Mama Loves Me, the second section is My Husband Loves Me, and the third section is I Love Myself. You're not going to want to miss any of this. These books sound amazing, so please stay tuned. The first book my mama got me was Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I have heard about Brandon Sanderson ever since I started my channel, and this is one of the books that really sounded interesting to me. That's something that I really wanted to read. For those of you who aren't familiar with this book, the main character is Spensa, and she lives on this planet. It's not Earth, at least I don't think it is, and we're in a time where I guess humans have left Earth, and for a while we were on ships, because she talks about her grandmother living on a spaceship, but then all the spaceships I guess crashed or had to land on this planet, and this is where they've made their home, and they have to continually fight this alien race called the Krell. And Spensa desperately wants to be a pilot. That has been her dream because her father was a pilot, but her father, for some reason that we do not know, is known as a coward because it seems that he died right after he became a traitor. I think he abandoned his crew or did something that gave him the title of being a coward, which makes it very, very hard for Spensa to even get into flight school. And then even when she gets into flight school, you know, it's very hard. If you haven't been able to tell, I already started this book. That's why I know as much as I do. I'm about this much in. I'm really enjoying it so far. I can't wait to see what happens. I can't wait to see what unfolds with her father. I think there's a lot more to this story that is going to unfold, and I'm excited because I know there's already a sequel to this out. So very much looking forward to finishing this book. I'm already enjoying it. All right, the next book my mama bought me is A Constellation of Roses by Miranda Acevedo. Now this one I have not started, but from what I understand, the main character is named Trix. And after her mother deserts her, she starts stealing. I guess she can steal very well because she has some sort of magical gift, I don't know what it is, that helps her become a very gifted thief. But she does get caught, and she's basically given the choice of, hey, you can go to jail or you can go live with some distant relatives that we found. So obviously she picks the go live with distant relatives I found, but she's thinking, I'm only going to hang around for a brief amount of time and then I'm going to run away and do my own thing. But once she gets there, supposedly, and starts meeting these different women in her family, she starts noticing that they seem to have some magical qualities as well. And that's all I know, but that's all I need to know to want to read this book. That is why I put this on the list. It sounded amazing. I haven't heard of it, and I haven't heard any other booktubers talking about it, but if you have read it or heard about it, please let me know. All right, and coming next is a sequel. I got Girls of Storm and Shadow. I am one of the people who enjoy Girls of Paper and Fire. I know that that was a book that you either loved it or you hated it. I actually really liked it a lot, definitely enough to want to read the sequel. Now, in the first book, which I have read, Girls of Paper and Fire, we're in a magical world where there's 3 casts. The top cast are these like animal looking demonic creatures, and they're like on the top, and then the bottom, the third class, is humans, and then in between the second class they're kind of human with some animal like qualities, and they're in the middle. And in the first book, Lee or Lei, it's spelled L-E-I, and I'm trying to remember how I pronounced it, but whatever. She gets chosen to be a paper girl, which is basically, it's like the Hunger Games where they make it sound like, oh, this is so awesome, you got chosen to be a paper girl, this is great. But then when you find out what it is, you're like, that's not great. That's not too good, because a paper girl basically is chosen for 1 year to serve the king in whatever needs he might need from a young lady. And I think most of you know what I'm talking about. So it was a really great book. It was a book that had a lot of trigger warnings. In fact, the author had trigger warnings. And the author also wrote the book because of some personal experiences that she had with assault, because at the end of the book, the very back, they even had hotlines and things that you could call if you have been a victim of those kinds of assaults. But I really enjoyed the story of, you know, what happens when she gets there and the friendships, and I like that they had the LGBTQ representation. I understand why some people didn't like it. Some of my closest booktube friends did not like it, and when they explained why, I was like, okay, I get it, that's fair. But I did like it, so I would like to read the sequel, and then, you know, once I read the sequel, I can tell you what that's about, because right now I really don't know. All right, the next book is We Set the Dark on Fire. I have seen this on book 2, but I can't remember where. I just remember going, ooh, I like that cover. The main character supposedly is Daniela, who's at this school, and she's the top student at this school, but it's a school for teaching women how to be like perfect wives. But the whole reason that she is at this school is a way to protect her, because this is a school, I believe, from what I've read, for more of the higher class people, and she is from a lower class. So I think she's been put in this school to keep her safe. In fact, being from one of the lower classes, I think, is like a deep, dark secret of hers. And then to make things worse, she is set to marry this rich politico's son, and she's really worried that her secret is going to come out. And then meanwhile, supposedly she is tasked to join a resistance and kind of be like undercover. So all of that just sounded really interesting to me, and I like the cover. You guys know I'm a sucker for covers. So I hope it also has a great story. It sounds promising, and I will definitely let you know. All right, and we have another purple book, The Blackthorn Key, and this is the first in a series. In this, the main character is Christopher, and he's happily learning how to solve complex codes and puzzles and learning how to make potions and cures. And he is an apprentice to Master Blackthorn. This is set in London, and what happens is this mysterious cult starts attacking all of London's apothecaries and also leaving like a trail of horrible murders. And they're getting closer and closer to Master Blackthorn's shop. So what happens is he's now going to have to use all these skills he's been happily learning in an actual situation where his life might be in danger. He and his master and the apothecary that they work at is in danger. And I just thought, you know, complex puzzles and codes and all that sounded really exciting. And it was purple and gold. I know, that sounds horrible, but it does sound good. I think it does. All right, the next one is It Ends With You. I'm sorry, I had a seat on it. It Ends With You. It's a YA mystery thriller. And this is about a town that has a girl who's like very much loved and adored named Eva, who is found dead in a ditch. And most people suspect her boyfriend Luke. But what is supposed to make this particular YA mystery thriller really, really interesting is it's told through 6 different perspectives. And I think that could be a lot of fun. Or it might be a big, huge mess. But let's hope it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, the next book I got was Deadly Little Scandals, but I made a mistake, and I know my mom is hearing this for the first time as she's watching this. This is actually book 2 in this particular series. So once I realized, oh no, I got book 2, I put book 2 on my list instead of the first one, so I just really quick ordered the first one. So the first one is Little White Lies. And in this book, our main character is Sawyer, whose estranged grandmother basically shows up on her door offering her 6 figures if she will participate in debutante season. And of course, for 6 figures, she's like, sure, not that she really wants to be a debutante, but I mean, who's gonna say no to that? And as she goes and becomes part of the society, she starts learning more about her grandmother, and she really is hoping by doing this, she's gonna learn more about her father because she doesn't know who her father is. And there's a lot of things about her family's past that she's unaware of. So that is basically, you know, she wants the money, which is smart, and she's also hoping that by immersing herself in the society, she's going to get some answers about her family. So that's what the first one is about. I didn't want to see what the second one was about because you know what happens if you read the synopsis of the sequel, the first paragraph, they tell you something or they, reveal something from the first book that you shouldn't know until you've read the first book. So I'm not going to even read that, but I saw the number 2 and I went, oh, I need number 1. So Little White Lies and Deadly Little Scandals. These sound really good. All right, the next book is The Speed of Falling Objects. This is another book I've never heard of, and I definitely took an interest when I heard the synopsis. Our main character is Danielle, who she loses an eye in her childhood, and her father's really mean to her and thinks she's ugly and blames her for this accident. And her father is like a big TV star, and he offers her the opportunity to be on one of his shows. And it's one of those survivalist kind of shows, and she finally gets the chance to hopefully prove herself to her father and everybody else. And that sounded really interesting to me as well. So here's hoping. All right, the next book I am really super excited about because when I was little, I was obsessed with the movie Clue. If you don't know what I'm talking about, stop this video, go watch the movie Clue. It is based on the board game Clue, and it is absolutely hysterical. And the game itself is really fun. Growing up, we played the game. They even at one point had a game where you would watch like a videotape and it would do all these murder mysteries, and it was just so much fun. And it's so much of my childhood was watching that with my friends. And they have started a young adult series, a mystery thriller young adult series based on Clue, and the first one is called In the Hall with the Knife. If you have any idea what Clue is, when you play the game, there are multiple weapons, there are multiple rooms in this mansion, and to win, you have to figure out where the person was killed and with what. So you would, if you're playing the game, you might say, I believe it was in the hall with the knife. And then you would see if you were correct and you would win the game or not win the game or whatnot. And when I saw that they were doing this, I was like, yes, 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 I have got to read that. And because it is YA, it is set at an elite preparatory school, and the characters have names similar to the characters in the game or the movie. So we have Beth Peacock, we have Vaughn Green, Sam Mustard, Finn Plum, Scarlet Mystery. If all these characters have similar names. And it's supposed to be there's a killer storm that strikes this mansion where this elite preparatory school is, and there is going to be some kind of a murder. And this is going to be a series, that's why it's called a Clue Mystery. I really hope this is good because I was thinking about it with all the different weapons and all the different rooms. You could really make quite a few books because the next one could be in the library with the candlestick, in the kitchen with the revolver. I mean, just going on and on. So I'm hoping this is a really fun read. All right, the next book my mama got me was Refraction, and the tagline really grabbed me with this one. Marty still remembers the Earth before the fog, before all the mirrors turned deadly. I was like, whoa, what is that about? That sounds good. So obviously our main character is Marty, and supposedly a year earlier, a spaceship or an alien spaceship was destroyed above the Earth, and all the debris from the spaceship somehow caused this weird fog all over the Earth. Unfortunately, it also caused all the mirrors to turn into portals for vicious monsters, so that's not good. I mean, it's good for me, the reader, because that sounds exciting, but if it was real, that's really bad. And Marty lives in a small coastal town that is one of the few safe havens left on the Earth. But for some reason, he and the mayor's son are exiled from this safe haven to one of the most dangerous cities in the world when it comes to these portals. But then he's also, by going to the city, he is given the opportunity to figure out what really happened. Why would destroying an alien ship cause a fog to be all over the Earth and portals, you know, just for mirrors to turn into portals. So he gets to figure out what's going on. So that sounded pretty good, and I said I'm going to give that one a shot. All right, next we have Crown of Oblivion. Our main character is Astrid, and she is a surrogate for the princess. Basically meaning if the princess steps out of line, she gets whipped instead of the princess. So, you know, not living her best life. And her only way out is to compete in the race of the Oblivion. But in this race, the first thing they do is they wipe all the contestants' memories. So basically they wake up in the middle of nowhere with some cryptic clues and just a sheer will to survive. So one of two things is gonna happen. Either she's gonna die, or maybe she's going to win, and if she wins, she will get her freedom. And I've said this a million times, and I will say it again. You give me a book with some kind of competition, even if it's a Hunger Game kind of competition, I am all in. All right, and now we have The Light at the Bottom of the World, which I'm not 100% sure what it's about. I still have a lot of questions, which is good because I'm going to read it and hopefully my questions will be answered. The book supposedly starts on Christmas Day 2099, and I'm pretty sure that London is supposed to be at the bottom of the ocean at this time because you can see London right there and you can see the whales and some jellyfish, and I think that it's like an underwater city. I think. I'm not 100% sure, and the synopsis doesn't make it very clear. But anyway, our main character is Layla, and she's a submersible racer. And she's been chosen to participate in the city's annual marathon. But to her, it's more than just a marathon, because whoever wins the marathon, the prime minister basically gives this person whatever they want, and her father has been arrested under false charges. He didn't do what he was arrested for. So she's hoping she can win this race and save her father. And like I said, I'm still a little fuzzy on the rest of it, but it sounds really amazing. I love the title, The Light at the Bottom of the World. I think it's an underwater city. I don't know how the logistics work exactly with an underwater city, or if she's going to somehow be underwater and just the race is under the city. I don't know. That's why I need to read the book. And once I read the book, I will know a little bit more, and then I will tell you about it in a wrap-up. Sound good? Good? All right, let's move on. All right, we have another mystery thriller. I know you remember. In this book, our main character is Ruthie, who is from Alaska, but she has been gone from Alaska for about 3 years because her parents separated and her mother wanted to move to Portland. But she's never stopped missing her best friend, Zara. And I say Zara because it looks like Sarah, but it's spelled with a Z. So Zara, she is always really missed her best friend Zara. They tried to keep in touch as much as they can through like Facebook and occasional phone call, but you know, they live really far apart, and obviously this is a major strain on their friendship. But after 3 years of her living in, I believe, Portland, her mother passes away and she has to go live back with her dad back in Alaska. And as much as, you know, she's upset that her mother's died, she is excited that she's going to be reunited with her best friend. But once she gets home, before she even gets a chance to say, "Hey, Zara, I'm back. What's up?" Zara goes missing. So this book is her trying to find Zara. And also when she meets Zara's friends, Zara sounds like a lot has changed in the 3 years that they've been separated. And Zara sounds like a very different person. So she's trying to figure out what happened in those 3 years. And also, where is the girl? So it sounds really good. I've already started reading it. I really am enjoying it. All right, the next book my mama got me is Girl Gone Viral. I have seen this at Barnes & Noble all year long. I don't know how many times I've picked this thing up and walked around with it and been like, "No, you're on a book buying ban, put it back." But I mean, just the cover, I was like, ooh. Oh, that looks really good. And when I tell you the synopsis, the reason why I also want to read this is it sounds like it's a little bit similar to Ready Player One, which I adored the book Ready Player One. Our main character is Opal, who is supposedly a genius at codes. She's a genius at creating virtual realities. But her father disappeared after her 10th birthday, only leaving like a cryptic note. And she tried to solve this cryptic note, and she just eventually just gave up. She couldn't figure it out. But then a billionaire who owns the biggest V Ark company in the world decides to have a contest. And if you win the contest, you get to meet this billionaire. Now you're probably going, and? Well, the billionaire, happens to be an old friend of her father's. In fact, at one time, he was her dad's best friend. Now, why she doesn't already know him, I'm guessing maybe they had a falling out. I don't know, the synopsis didn't go that far, but she has to win this contest to meet him. And obviously, she wants to meet him because, you know, she's hoping he knows something. She wants to find her dad. So it's a little bit, sounds like Ready Player One or like Warcross. I really have enjoyed a lot of YA books with the virtual reality. I can think of like at least 4 or 5 books I've read with virtual reality in it that I just absolutely enjoyed, adored, loved, and I'm hoping this will be yet another one because it sounds really, really great. All right, our next book is What We Buried. Our main characters are siblings Liv and Jory. Now, Liv is this huge reality TV star, but Jory is kind of in the shadows. He has some face paralysis, so he kind of, is not like Liv with all this attention. But they do have one thing in common. They do not like their parents. So Liv decides to sue for emancipation, and even though Jory doesn't like his parents, supposedly he is a little upset because he thinks this is just like a publicity stunt. She needs even more attention. But on the day of this hearing, her parents mysteriously disappear. And as these two try to find their parents, they start uncovering some crazy deep secrets they did not know about. And I went, wow, that sounds amazing. I gotta read that. So I got it, I put it on my list, and my mama got it for me. Next we have York. Look at that cover, isn't that cool? I love New York and I love that cover. So supposedly in 1798, the Morning Star twins came to New York and they helped build the magnificent city using technology that nobody had seen before. But 57 years later, the twins disappeared, but they left behind a puzzle. But in present day, it's one of those things that still nobody has solved it. That also kind of sounds like Ready Player One. And our main characters are Tess and Theo Biederman and their friend Jamie. And they want to solve this riddle because they're trying to save their home. Because they live, I guess, in one of the last Morning Star homes or apartment buildings or whatnot. So I think if they solve this, they can save their home. That kind of sounds like Goonies. So I got Ready Player One meets the Goonies is what this sounds like, and if that's what it is, that sounds amazing. All right, the next book, the last book that my mama got me is Now Entering Adamsville. This is by the same person who did Eliza and Her Monsters, which ironically I've never read Eliza and Her Monsters, but this cover, once again I saw this cover and I went, ooh, that looks really good. The main character is Zora, and her town has become this major tourist attraction for supposedly being haunted. But Zora knows that these ghosts are for real, and she ends up getting framed for a crime she didn't commit. And that's all I know so far, but I've heard really good things about Eliza and Her Monsters, so I'm hoping that this is also good, and if I really enjoy it, then I guess I'll go read Eliza and Her Monsters. All right, the next two books were not from my mama, they were from my baby sister, but she got me two books off of that same list, so let's see what she got me. She got me Lifestyles of Gods and Monsters. I cannot say the main characters' names. I think it's Ariadne. My sister was like saying it was a famous, I think, goddess name, so I'm a little embarrassed. But anyway, she's our main character. And she's part of a royal family entertainment empire, which I don't know if she's literally like part of a royal family or like she's like a Kardashian. That I'm a little fuzzy on. But this family's biggest money maker is this Labyrinth TV show. And in this show, she leads 14 teens into this maze. And if you lose, you die. And nobody's won in 10 seasons. So this sounds bloody. This definitely sounds like some Hunger Games. And then Theseus arrives and he asks her for some help, and she doesn't know if he really likes her or he's playing to the cameras. But he seems like the first person in a long time that maybe actually has a shot of winning this thing. I'm not gonna say it again, I love some books with some competitions, and this one sounds like Hunger Games meets Kardashians, which who doesn't want to read that? That sounds fascinating. And then because I wanted it so bad, she got me the Wonder Woman by Leigh Bardugo. I read the Superman in the DC series. I enjoyed it. Now, I gave it 3 stars. I really enjoyed the story. I liked how it was an origin story. I only gave it 3 stars because I thought I didn't like the writing so much. But knowing that Leigh Bardugo wrote the Wonder Woman one definitely made me want to read this. I loved Wonder Woman when it was a TV show when I was little. This is supposed to be an origin story just the way Superman was. I'm honestly not really interested in the Batman or Catwoman. I say that now, maybe in the future I'll want to read it. I guess I've seen so many Batman movies. Let's face it, there's been so many Batman movies. And so I'm not really interested so much in the Batman world because Catwoman's part of that, but definitely, I've heard really good things about this from other booktubers, so very excited to read Wonder Woman. All right, let's start part 2, My Husband Loves Me, part of the book haul. And if you're noticing that my hair is kind of changing or my earrings or my makeup are starting to look different in different sections, I am filming this over several days. I did want to wear myself out. Now that we're at part 2, these are all the books I got for Christmas from my lovely husband. The first book my husband got me was These Witches Don't Burn, and I honestly wanted this to be the first book I put on my wish list. Unfortunately, when I went to make my wish list the first time, I couldn't remember. I was like, there's a purple book and it's a YA and it's about witches and it has like a really cool cover. What is it called? What is it called? And it took me forever to remember, and I knew my mom had already brought all the books, so this one was added later so my husband could get it for me, and I'm so glad he did. Our main character is Hannah. She's an elemental witch, and she's dealing with her big breakup with her girlfriend, who is also an elemental witch who's in her coven. But now there's evidence of dark magic threatening her coven. There are some deaths, and she's trying to figure out what is going on. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I already read this book. You'll hear about it in my wrap-up, but let me tell you, I'm really excited about the sequel that's coming out in May. All right, the next book my husband got me was Serpent and Dub. This book I find interesting. I haven't started reading it yet, but I find it interesting that I have seen it on so many people's best of 2019, but also so many people's worst of 2019 books. So I'm wondering if this is one of those you're either gonna love it or hate it. Please, please let me love it. There seems to be two main characters when it comes to this book. Our first main character is a witch named Louise LeBlanc, who fled her coven, forsaking all magic, stealing so she can live, and going to a city that is very dangerous because they really like to kill witches there. And when I mean they like to kill witches there, like it's a place where they are heavily hunted. And who are they hunted by? Witch hunters, which brings about the second main character. Our second main character is Reed Diggory, who is a witch hunter, and he belongs to this church that has the motto, "Thou shalt not let a witch live," or something like that he follows. And according to the synopsis, some kind of wicked stunt happens that leads them to be married. That's why I believe this is an adult book. I'm pretty sure, unless they're having some 16 or 17-year-olds get married, I'm pretty sure this is an adult book. But they do end up married, and that's really all I know so far. That besides that, I'm either gonna love it or hate it, and it's a pretty big book. Let me know if you've read it and what you thought. Now, if you watch my best books of 2019, you would have seen the book One of Us is Lying. Well, now there is a sequel, and it is One of Us is Next. I explained to you guys that One of Us is Lying is like the Breakfast Club if there was a murder mystery, who have 5 kids who all each fit like a certain stereotype from high school, and one of them does not make it out of detention alive, and then the book is told from all the other perspectives. Now, some of the same kids are going to be in this book, but somehow they're going to end up playing a game of truth or dare. I really loved the reveal of the first book, so I'm very excited to be going back to some characters from before. I hope this book is just as good as the first one, and I'm sure I'll be reading it very soon. All right, the next book I'm going to hold up and my husband got for me is gotta be the most hyped book for the end of 2019 on BookTube, and that would be Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So supposedly our main character is named Alex. She's the sole survivor of this like multiple homicide. She doesn't come from the best family or best part of town, but when she's at the hospital, she is given a second chance, and someone offers her the chance to go to Yale on a full ride where she has to pay for it nothing, and obviously that could totally change her life. But there is a catch, isn't there always? And all I know, it has something to do with Yale's secret societies, which really and truly do exist, so I'm wondering how Leigh Bardugo is going to spin that in this book. So hopefully I'll love it. It seems like most people do. If you saw my worst books of 2019, then you know that I put Truly Devious as one of the worst books, but I told you I'm planning to read the second and third book. The second book is The Vanishing Star. I can't remember what the third book is, but I put it on pre-order. I'm going to read these two one after another. The reason I got upset with the first book is because I felt like it was laying down a huge mystery, and then it had a smaller mystery, and in the book it only solved the smaller mystery, which led me to the conclusion you're going to have to read the whole trilogy to find out the answers to the big mystery, which is what I was actually interested in hearing about. And the big mystery is the founders, I think, wife and child disappeared sometime in the 1930s. I don't know if they were found dead or not, or they were murdered. I don't know, but it's been this big mystery that has been hanging over this school for so long. Our main character is Stevie again, and she is a girl who is going to this school, this fancy school for kids who have special abilities, not magical abilities, just really smart kids. The reason she's even going to the school is because she wants to solve this big mystery of what happened to this man's family in the 1930s. So I will be reading this and the third one, and hopefully I'll find the answers I need to know. It's been driving me crazy. All right, and the last book my husband got me was City of Stone and Silence, which is the sequel to Ship of Smoke and Steel. Now, Ship of Smoke and Steel was in my best books of 2019 video. I explained before, our main character is Ahsoka. She has the ability to fight with some kind of combat magic, and she is given over as a sacrifice to this big mysterious ship that just travels around this world. It's not Earth, but whatever planet they're on, and it stops from port to port, and at each port, that town or city has to send out one of its adepts, which is somebody who can control, I think, one of the 9 wells of sorcery, combat being one of them, the ones Ahsoka can do. But it gets even worse. Not only is she going to a ship where she doesn't know if she's going to be sacrificed, she has no idea what she's walking into because nobody knows anything about the ship, who's steering the ship. They tell her, you better figure it out. You better take over the ship and bring it back, because if you don't, we're going to kill your sister. So the first book was so exciting, and it definitely left at such a great place, and I cannot wait to see what's going to happen next. All right, we're moving on to part 3, I Love Myself. So the first book I got myself was Fangirl. I have been hearing about Fangirl since I started my channel. It has been all over BookTube for a very long time. I believe there's already a sequel to it. And I wanted to see what is all the hype about this book. For the 2 or 3% of you who don't know about this book, I'll briefly explain. Our main character is supposedly Kath, who is obsessed with Simon Snow, which is supposed to be kind of the equivalent of what Harry Potter is. And she has a twin named Rin who is in with her. They're big into the fandoms. They dress up like the characters. They even write fan fiction. But her twin sister is really starting to lose interest in the fandom. They're both about to go off to college. Her sister has also said, I don't want to be roommates. It looks like her sister wants to go do her own thing, and now Kath is going to have to kind of figure herself out and kind of find herself. And like I said, I have seen and heard this book. I gotta find out if it's as good as everybody claims it to be. All right, the next book I got myself, I got it because if you watch my best books of 2019, I said the best mystery thriller I read was Behind Closed Eyes by Serpent and Dub. That book was just mind-blowing, so I definitely needed to get some more of her books. The first one is called Cross Her Heart. The main character is Lisa. She's a 40-year-old mother with a 16-year-old daughter who she's trying to take care of. But somewhere in her past, she is guilty of some big betrayal, and I think now it's coming back to haunt her. And that's all I really know about this book, other than it's by Sarah Pinborough, who it was amazing, and I want to see if this book is just as amazing as that Behind Her Eyes book was. And then I found out she also wrote some YA books, so I had to get one of those, and I was dead for 13 minutes. Our main character is Becca, who used to be best friends with Natasha before Natasha became the most popular girl in school. But recently, Natasha was pulled from a freezing river and was dead for 13 minutes, and she has no memory of how she even got to the river. She begins to suspect some of her other friends that are also in that popular girl clique, so she turns to her old best friend Becca to help her try to solve what happened. And that's all I know, but it's Sarah Pinborough, so it could absolutely be anything, and nothing is off the table when it comes to this author. All right, next we have a good sci-fi. I got The Final Six. Our main characters are Leo and Naomi, who are drafted into this teen kind of space program, and it's one of those programs that only takes the best and brightest. And 6 of them, the final 6, are going to get the opportunity to go to Europa, which is one of Jupiter's moons. Now, supposedly, Leo has lost all his family, so he really, really wants to go, but Naomi's a little bit cautious. Supposedly, there was a similar mission in the past, and none of the astronauts or teens or whoever was on that mission survived. So she's not quite sure she wants to go onto this mission or not, but these two become close at camp, and I guess we'll see what comes of all of that. Are they becoming the final 6? If they do become the final 6, are they going to survive the ride there? I don't know, but I hope to find out, and then I will tell you all about it. Now, one of my favorite YA books of all time is Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. So when I saw that she had some books for sale, I definitely had to get them. The first one I got was Broken Things, and it's a signed first edition, which I did not realize until I opened the box. The 2 main characters are Mia and Bryn, who everybody believes murdered their best friend, Summer. And supposedly they did it because they were obsessed with a fantasy world in a novel, but according to the synopsis, they're actually innocent, and it's now 5 years later since Summer was murdered. And on the anniversary of this murder, some new discovery shows up that brings these girls back together and gives them the opportunity to finally figure out what really happened. So doesn't that sound really good? I hope I explained it good enough. It sounds good to me. I'm hoping it is up there with Before I Fall, or even close to, because that book was spectacular. So, Broken Things. And that is not the only book I got from Lauren Oliver, since she had so many on sale. I also got Vanishing Girls. Our main character is Nick, and she and her sister were really close until there's some kind of accident, and her sister Dara That's how I'm going to go with Dara. That's D-A-R-A. Supposedly her face gets kind of like deformed or scarred due to this accident of some sort. And also because of this accident of some sort, they become estranged. And then Dara vanishes on her birthday. And at first Nick thinks maybe she's playing around until another girl disappears. And then Nick starts to think that those two are related in some way. And once she thinks that they're related, she starts trying to figure out what went down. So that's all I know, but I have high hopes. Now this next book is also by Lauren Oliver, and it is different from any other book I've read, and I haven't read a page of it, so you're probably wondering how I know. Let me show it to you because I don't think I could explain it very well. It's called Replica, and then it has the name Gemma. But wait for it! It's called Replica, and it has the name Lyra. So on the Lyra side of the book, there's this institute known as the Haven Institute that builds like human models or human replicas, and is a really like heavily guarded place. Until there's some kind of surprise attack, and Lyra, along with a boy only known as 24, escape. And while they're trying to escape and go out into the world, they run into a character named, wait for it, Gemma, that's right! Now on this side, the synopsis says that Gemma has been in and out of hospitals her whole life, and because of that she doesn't really have a lot of friends. But she discovers that her father has some kind of connection to the Haven Institute. Wait, I think I've heard of that before somewhere. And she decides to travel to Florida to find out what that connection is, and she runs into, hello, Lyra and the boy who's only known by number 72. Now, each of them have different synopsises, but they have the same thing at the bottom, and I want you guys to give me your honest opinion on what I should do, because it's basically directions on how you can read this book. It says, while the stories of Gemma and Lyra mirror each other, each contains breathtaking revelations critically important to the other story. Their narratives can be read separately or in alternating chapters. In either case, the two distinct parts of this astonishing novel combine to produce an unforgettable experience for its two young heroines and for the reader. So I don't know what I should do. Should I read one section? It's upside down. Should I read one section completely and then flip it over and then read the other section? Or should I read chapter 1 here and chapter 1 there and then chapter 2 here and chapter 2? I don't know. I've never heard of a book like this. I didn't realize it when I bought it that it did this. If you've read this book, please give me your opinion on how I can read it. Or if you're just wanting to give me your opinion, because I really don't know how to read this book. Like, I'm on the fence of what I should do. Please tell me what you think I should do. All right, we're done with all the Lauren Oliver and ready to move on. We're gonna move right along to Heart of Iron. Supposedly, our main character is Anna, who is found floating through space along with some kind of sentient robot of some sort. And this sentient robot is called D09. But after their rescue, D09 starts glitching in some weird way, and she finds out there's a lost ship, and she wants to get to the lost ship. I don't know if she thinks going to the lost ship she'll be able to fix D09. I don't know what exactly her motivations are, but she finds the coordinates and she wants to go to this lost ship. But unfortunately, there's an Iron Blood boy, which I don't even know what that means, but there is an Iron Blood boy who also has the coordinates and wants this lost ship. So I guess they're going to be competing or working together. I don't know. I don't know why they want to go to this lost ship, but I have started really enjoying books that take place in space, so hopefully this will be good. If you have read it, please let me know. All right, the next book sounds very interesting. It's called After the Eclipse. So supposedly in 1999, a little girl is abducted during a solar eclipse. Then in March of 2015, our main character, Cassie, moves back home to the small town that she grew up in because she wants to help her ailing grandmother. But then a local girl goes missing right before, you can guess it, an eclipse. And she thinks it's got to be related to the little girl who was stolen in the 1999 eclipse. And you might be asking, why does she care so much? Because the first little girl that was taken was her sister. Doesn't that sound like a book you just gotta read? Oh, very excited. Next, let's move on to A Shadow Bright and Burning. Our main character is Henrietta, and she is forced to reveal her magical power in order to save one of her friends, and she assumes she's going to be executed for it. But instead, she is sent to be trained as one of the royal sorcerers, and all of them believe that she is the chosen one. And the chosen one is supposed to get rid of the ancients. And these ancients are supposed to be these like bloodthirsty demons, like yuck. But according to the synopsis, she knows or thinks that she's not the chosen one. So I don't know what that's going to mean for her as a character. I don't know if she's going to pretend to be the chosen one, or is it like she just doubts she's the chosen one, like Neo in the Matrix? I don't know, but it sounds really interesting. Please let me know if you've read this one as well. All right, super excited about this next one. It's called V Ark. So I'm just going to really quick read. It's about a brilliant archaeologist named Delara. I've never heard that name before. She's contacted by some guy named Sam, who is an old family friend who says that he has crucial information about her missing father. So Delara abandons her Peruvian dig and swiftly flies off to Los Angeles to meet this man. But instead of talking about where her father might be, he has a bunch of information about where you can find Noah's Ark, which is the artifact that her father spent his whole life searching for. Doesn't this sound very Indiana Jones? Especially that third movie where Indiana Jones is with his father, Sean Connery, and Sean Connery's been looking for the Grail, the Holy Grail. This sounds very Indiana Jones-ish, which sounds good to me because I love Indiana Jones, and this sounds like it could be a winner. All right, when you see this next book, you might be like, you've got some explaining to do. That doesn't make sense. I got the breakdown by B.A. Paris, and if you watched me do the worst books of 2019, I told you that the book Bring Me Back made me so angry that even though I really enjoyed the book, I enjoyed the writing, it was once we got towards the end where you always have some kind of big reveal about what is going on when you read a mystery thriller that made absolutely no sense whatsoever and just really made me mad. But since I did enjoy the writing up to that point, and I just felt like the author really dropped the ball on how she was going to let everything work out, I decided for $1, I don't mind giving her another chance. I can't remember if this book was exactly $1, but you know what I'm saying. I do want to give B.A. Paris another chance, and maybe she will redeem herself with the breakdown. I should probably tell you what it's about. So our main character is Cass, and she witnesses a woman on the side of a rural road, I'm trying to say rural road, during a really bad storm. And she doesn't stop to help her even though she thinks she probably should. And later the woman is killed. Now, I don't know if she's killed because the storm is so bad. She also, I think it says in the synopsis something about she doesn't stop because she's worried she should get hurt too. I don't know exactly, like, how bad is this storm going to be? But later she's feeling super, super guilty about it. But that's not the worst part. She also starts literally losing her memory where she's like, I don't know where my keys are. I don't know where my medication is. I can't remember the code to my debit card. Now, I have severe ADD, so for me, I'm like, that's just like another Thursday for me. I'm not really seeing what the big deal is that you can't find stuff, because I can never find any of my stuff. But I guess she does not have ADD, so for her, this is a very big deal. And please, B.A. Paris, please give me a better reveal this time. I'm begging you. All right, the next book is This Lie Will Kill You, and this one sounds pretty darn good. So 5 teens are invited to this isolated mansion in the hopes to win $50,000 in cash. But once they get there, they realize that's not really the reason they're there. But supposedly there was a party a year ago where there was a death. And somebody's actually brought these 5 teens to this house for some kind of revenge. So I'm guessing that one of them or all of them had something to do with I don't know if it's a girl or a boy, but whoever died at this party. So this sounds super great. Can't wait to read it. Oh, I hope it's as good as it sounds. Quickly, before we get to the last book, please follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and I will follow you right on back. I did not put it on my best books of 2019, but I did read a book that I thought was really well done by Lisa Scotland, and I decided I'm going to read another one of her books. I had a good time the first time. Hopefully I'll have a good time the second time. And this is called Accused. Now, this is not technically YA, but one of the main characters is a 13-year-old, so that makes it, to me, sort of YA-ish. So the first main character is Mary. She's a lawyer who's just made partner. This 13-year-old named Allegra comes to her with this weird case. Supposedly, 6 years earlier, her sister was murdered, and the guy that everybody thinks did it is in jail, and supposedly the sister's blood was found on him, his blood was found on her, and here's the big thing, he confessed to it. But Allegra still thinks that they don't really know who killed her sister. This is why she comes to marry the lawyer. She doesn't marry at like a wedding. Like, remember Mary's the main character? Okay, didn't want to lose you there. And our family is really, really against this case being reopened. I don't know if it's because, look, it was super painful. We got it all closed down. We got closure, or what closure you can get because the man's in jail. Why are you bringing all of this up again and making us think about it again? Or maybe the family's hiding something. It doesn't say that in the synopsis. I'm just wondering, maybe the family is hiding something. That's just a guess. So this one sounds super great too. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.